Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a very, very special episode. As today I'm joined by none other than Leicester City defender and New Zealand's own CJ Bott. CJ, how's your day going so far?
Very good, thank you. Had a good training day, achieved a
Good.
lot, so happy.
Achieved a lot. That's definitely what you want to hear going into pre-camp. I mean, how has pre-camp been so far for you guys?
It's been pretty good. I've only just arrived in New Zealand on Friday, so a couple of days ago. But the girls have been in for quite a while now, and they've been working really hard, and sounds like they've been doing great things. So yeah, it's a cool thing to come into.
Any jet lag going on or not this time?
Absolutely. But no, I think we're getting there eventually. Sleep's kind of slowly starting to improve.
Work in progress, I assume, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, since we're talking about pre-camp, 3 years ago when the hosting bid was confirmed, you said that until the World Cup, playing at Eden Park was going to be in the back of your mind in every training session. So now, not only will you be playing at Eden Park, but you'll actually be kicking off the entire competition at that ground. For one, can we get a confirmation if that is still in the back of your mind in every training session?
Absolutely. That's a massive ground, and I think it holds a lot of power for us as Kiwis. That's like the ground you want to play at. So yeah, it for sure is at the back of my mind. It's going to be such an important game.
Have you
Definitely a
like
lot
in
of pressure. So
have you envisioned just walking out into that opening game with like the FIFA anthem going on and the national anthem and just like a sold out crowd to that
mhm.
ground?
Yeah, I'm going to cry for sure. It'll be like the few tears coming down my eyes, and then I have to wipe them away and beast mode on. Um, yeah, I'm so excited for that. That's just going to be the absolute pinnacle moment of my career, I definitely think.
So as a child, would you say like a younger CJ Bott, if somebody would have told you that you were going to be opening a home World Cup at that ground, like can you just expand on how that would feel for a younger CJ Bott and how that is
Yeah,
now?
I mean, first of all, I would have said you're lying. Yeah, I think growing up in New Zealand, we definitely weren't, well, to a certain extent, still aren't surrounded by a whole lot of football.
Hmm.
Um, and definitely, I think the reality of playing professional sport is, well, football at least, is quite distant for a lot of girls. And I think that's definitely what we're most excited about is kind of bringing that reality to New Zealand and showing girls that it's definitely possible and how many great players come out of the game and what the game's doing at the moment.
Hmm.
Um, so I think as a young girl, been if this opportunity had been put in front of me, I would have been so excited, and I think I definitely would have taken football. Well, I mean, I did take it seriously as a kid, but taken it a lot more seriously
Mm.
from when I was younger, knowing that that's definitely a huge reality for me.
Yeah. And you grew up in Wellington, so it was,
Mm-hmm.
like, was there a lot of girls that you were able to play with, or was it mostly boys? Like, I would assume the majority of your teammates.
Yeah, I mean, I started off playing with boys, and I did up until I think I was 15, maybe 16, but then
Mhm.
kind of I'd say by the age of like 13, 14, I started playing like in representative girls teams as well. But I definitely, my mum made me play with boys for as long as possible to kind of get a bit more grit into me, which I'm very grateful for sure. But I think the game is growing
Mm.
with girls, but there's definitely still room for improvement, and definitely hoping that we can inspire a few more young ones as well.
Certainly. And your hometown, you're playing in your hometown, Wellington.
Mm-hmm.
Again, is there
Yes.
like certain, I don't know, moments that like when you were around walking in your hometown or like just playing out in the afternoon, now you're going to be literally featuring that hometown of yours?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy to think. Like I said, I'd shed a few tears at Eden Park, but I think seeing my mum, she's my mum, my family are going to be in the crowd anyway at every game.
Mhm.
But I think seeing her in the crowd and kind of knowing the story that we've come from and the journey that we've taken together is going to be a really humbling, kind of surreal moment. And yeah, walking the streets of Wellington, it's just crazy to think that like we're going to be hosting the World Cup. Unreal, unreal. Like gives me
Yeah.
goosebumps thinking about.
I know. I'm like just listening to you talking
Yeah.
about it and like the young girls, I feel like it if it doesn't give you goosebumps, then you're not watching the right event here
No.
for you. But I mean, it hasn't been an easy road for you to get here. Like you had to rehab through a calf injury that was documented pretty well, and it was kind of like nervy timings, but you were quite confident you were going to do it, and you rehab like a champ, and you're back on the field and everything. But even
Mhm.
talking back to the 2019 World Cup, you had that freakish accident against Canada, and it's kind of been like an up and down, and breaking into that senior squad admittedly you said was a little bit challenging for you. How do you get through these tough times, especially when you've got like a World Cup ahead that you're trying to be fit for?
Do you know what? I'm actually always really grateful for the tough times. I think it's easy to get weighed down, and don't get me wrong, it does weigh me down a lot. But I remember saying a few years ago to a friend of mine when I tore my meniscus,
Mm,
because even when I broke my wrist at the World Cup, it was gut wrenching. It was the World Cup, but it was 6 weeks of my career that I was out for. It wasn't the end of the world.
mm,
And that was the way I kind of saw it anyway. But then I tore my meniscus and I was kind of out for 4 months right in the middle of COVID, and it was awful. But I remember saying to a friend, like, I actually need this. Like, I need some kind of hard times in my life to kind of humble me and remind me why I do it, kind of thing. And I think it's the old thing of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And like,
fair.
yeah, and every injury, it's definitely a tough pill to swallow, but I mean, it makes you so much more grateful. I think any injured player coming back onto the pitch would tell you, like, it actually makes you more grateful for what you do, because it kind of just brings you back down to earth, and you're like, oh, okay, I do actually love this game, and there's a reason I put my body and my mind through this every week. And yeah, so I mean, as much as I don't like being injured, and I hate like letting my teammates down and all that stuff,
Yeah.
it definitely puts a bit more fuel in my belly.
I think given the climate of the sport, a lot of athletes would be very happy to hear that.
Maybe I'm
Especially
crazy.
well, I think that's definitely like a positive outlook you want to have on it, especially for the players that are missing out on the World Cup. Um, you also have worked with some of the athletes around you with like Rhea Percival and just like massive names that
Hmm.
have been out with injury, but you've also spoken to how important these roles of players, have been to your career. I think looking maybe at the current squad, who would you say has like inspired you for the most out of any of the players? Which I know it's kind of like a tougher
Hmm.
question because you've worked around some crazy,
Hmm.
like good players. But who would you
Hmm.
say has kind of pushed you through these challenging times a little bit and pulled you into breaking into that senior squad?
I would absolutely, without a doubt, say Rhea Percival. She, yeah, she's such an incredible player playing for Tottenham now, and yeah, she's just come back from a pretty unreal injury. Um, but even just as a youngster, she used to play right fullback for the Ferns, and I was kind of her understudy for a long, long time. And she would just give me like so many little pep talks, and she's just such a great player to play beneath. Like, if there's any player that you're fighting against, it's her, because she'll just always give you a battle. Um, and I definitely think I'm very much crafted around who she is as a footballer,
Mm.
which I'm not upset about at all. But she's just such a great person as well. She's such a great athlete, such a great person, such a great mentor. And I think in football, and I'm sure in a lot of sports and jobs, you kind of have all these people that you look up to as a child, and then sometimes you meet them and they're just a normal human being, or I don't know, like,
Yeah.
it's not all it's cracked up to be, but she's definitely all it's cracked up to be, I would say. She's unreal. I can speak so highly of her.
What about you guys' captain, Ali Riley? I mean, she is kind of like has become the face of New Zealand football
Hmm.
and is just always such a good spokesperson about the team. You likely will play, alongside her in that back line. How good of a leader is
Hmm.
she for players like you, but also the upcoming youngsters into that senior squad?
She's such a great leader. I think she puts in so much positivity into the squad. And she's such a workhorse. She's like, I don't even know how old she is now, but she does not stop. It's unbelievable. Um, and yeah, she just leads by example as well. And definitely, she's such a good, like you say, she's such a good spokesperson for the team. I think the American in her comes out in that sense. She's
Yeah.
so great. But I think she just inspires so many people around her, and she has such great energy around her, and she brings everyone in and kind of really sparks something in the group. So she's awesome to have around.
How important is that going to be in a World Cup squad? Because you guys have been a little bit unlucky with injuries. Like I can't remember a camp that you've had a full squad with everybody
Hmm.
fully fit in there. So I think now
Hmm.
obviously she's still away with in the NWSL, so camp's still not fully with everybody. But how do you think that leadership role and that experience with some of these players, combined with you, who has been, the player kind of always in that starting 11 sheet, going to be in a tournament as tough as this?
Oh my goodness, so important. I think, like you say, we've definitely been ridden with a lot of injuries and misfortune in the last few years, I would say. So having someone like her who's got so much experience and has the ability to motivate people when we don't have a lot to be motivated around, it's pretty tough sometimes. Um, and so she's crucial, absolutely crucial. And I think, yeah, when she comes in, she's definitely going to bring even more spark. And same with the other girls who are still not in. I think everyone holds their value and
Yeah.
there's always a reason you're in a team besides what you can do on the field. And I definitely think, yeah, once they're all in, we'll be rocking and rolling.
I'm very happy you bring out that role, because as a defender, people probably expect you to be in the back line,
Hmm.
closing down wingers. But we have
Hmm.
seen that spectacular strike against Argentina that I feel like whenever your name comes up, you have to think about that goal. I mean, like, can you just talk me through how that even sequence occurred?
Oh my goodness, that was some time ago now. It popped out from a corner, and I just remember everyone being like, "Get it in!" And I actually think I had kind of a dodgy touch from it, and I was like, "Well, I've got to shoot. There's no other option." I just saw her coming at me. I was like, "Well, here we go.
Here goes
There
nothing.
you go." Yeah,
Are we gonna
and it was
see
awesome.
are we gonna see some of these crackers in the World Cup? I know people
I
would
mean,
just go crazy for that.
they would. Well, I hope so. We'll see. We'll see if I get myself into those positions, but we'll see.
Corners. Everybody corners aimed down at
Yeah.
CJ. um, Talking a little bit more about that fan, audience, and a lot of the crowds that are expected to be sold out. Having that home crowd, you guys have been quite lucky in having some of these home games. How crucial is that going to be? Because we're always talking about that home advantage and just playing on home soil.
Hmm.
The fans have been absolutely brilliant for a nation like you guys. How important is that going to be in kind of making sure and making sure that they're there and they're present, they're having fun, but you guys are also, putting a show on for them?
Hmm. I mean, it's going to be so important, isn't it? I think, yeah, like you say, it's the home crowd advantage is kind of everything sometimes, and even kind of when the going gets tough, it's like when you can hear the fans in the back of your ear or whatever, then it
Mm,
kind of gives you that extra little pep that we all need. And it's also something that not a lot of us have experienced. Like we've had a few home games this last year or two, but prior to that, they've been few and far between.
mm,
And I think Kiwis haven't really had the opportunity to get behind us.
mhm.
So I think it's so exciting that they do have the opportunity, and I really hope we can put on a show and kind of produce something that they love and they can get behind for the World Cup and for long term as well. I think it's going
Yeah.
to be huge for the growth of women's football.
New Zealand has already hosted the cricket, the rugby World Cup, and now the
Mhm.
Women's World Cup. Like, looking at New Zealand's future in terms of sporting events and really inspiring that youth, how good does it feel from an athlete perspective to continuously see your nation host these big events that, are gonna inspire youth all across these sports: cricket, rugby, soccer, football, whatever whatever everybody calls it.
Yeah.
We'll always have a vocabulary battle here, but like, seeing your nation being able to host a lot of these important events, like, have you maybe seen some of that impact already happen, or maybe it's a little too soon to speak on that?
I mean, I think it's a little too soon to speak on the football side of it like that in terms of
Hmm.
impact, but definitely from the cricket and the rugby World Cup, my goodness, like the change has been huge. And I haven't even been in New Zealand for any of it. But I know just like word of mouth, the support, the backing behind the teams, like
Hmm.
has been unreal. So I think it goes without saying that there's going to be huge changements. Oh my goodness, my vocabulary changes and adjustments to the game. Goodness me. Um, yeah, and I'm so excited to see that. I think we've been waiting for so long to see any kind of huge change. There's always so much talk in women's football, and yeah, this is going to change, that's going to change. We're investing, but it's like I'm definitely I need to see it to believe it. But based on the changes from the cricket and the rugby World Cup, I
Hmm.
know it's going to be huge.
It's looking like a good trend. Before the
Yes.
World Cup kicks off, you guys have a send-off game against Vietnam. How
Hmm.
are you? What are the goals you're looking to achieve before a send-off game? Obviously, we're trying to be injury free. Nobody wants to get injured before before knock on
Check.
wood.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how are your preparations for that one before going into the World Cup, kind of making sure you guys are in full gear, ready to rumble, ready to get
Mhm.
things going?
Yeah, I think that's going to be such a great send-off game. They're great competition. They have come leaps and bounds in the last few years, I think. And yeah, I mean, our goals are to win that game. And as you say, come out injury free. But I think definitely just to test ourselves, we want to win that game as well. And we want to show the Hawke's Bay crowd like what we can do and get them as excited as well. So yeah, we're really
Absolutely.
excited for that.
How do you envision your group? I know you've said you've seen a harder pool before, so this is kind of
Mhm.
like a decent pool. Um, which game would you say you're most excited about to test yourselves, guys?
I'm excited for all three for different reasons. Like Norway, I'm excited. Like I played them personally. I didn't play in the last game against them, but
Mhm.
I played them a few years ago and I love playing against them. I played in Norway before and I love them as a team. I think they're classy. I think they're going to provide us with some challenges, but yeah, we definitely can look to exploit them in a few ways. And then Philippines, I mean, we beat them the last time we played them, so that's probably the game that we're most focused on, I would say. But I mean, most focused probably isn't the right way to say it,
Yeah.
but we'll be gunning for that game for sure. And then Switzerland, like, never know. You never know. They've got some classy players as well, but
Yeah.
so do we. So, yeah, it'll be a good competition for sure.
That's good. You need to be excited about all three for sure.
Yeah.
Any kind of, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but predictions. I mean, I'm obviously rating you guys for this one, but how do you envision it? Kind of like what are your goals that you guys have laid out for this competition now?
I mean, I can say we've never made it out of the groups. So, there we go.
Need to tick that off the checklist. A
Yeah.
win as well with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. We'll go from there.
We'll go from there. It's a good one.
Yeah.
CJ, I know we're a
Exactly.
little bit short on time, but any final words for the football Fern fans, for the football fans that are going to be flying out to New Zealand? Any maybe like good recommendation spots? I know a lot of your teammates have said like you are the perfect tourist guide to go after. So
Dang, I'll take that. I'll take it. No, you know what? Like, if you're coming to New Zealand, I really hope you enjoy it. It's going to be an incredible show with so much talent. I think gone are the days where people underestimate women's football. Like, the trajectory it's gone on the last few years is unbelievable. And me, even as someone who's like partaking in that game, is even I'm shocked by it and so happy with the progress that it's made, and it's awesome to be a part of, and I can't wait for the crowds to see that as well and see it firsthand. And yeah, if you need any recommendations, hit me up.
hit CJ up. If you guys have got a few days extra on your schedule, definitely
Yeah.
she's your go-to person.
Exactly.
CJ, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm very certain a lot of people are going to be tuning in, and definitely that first game is just going to be absolutely massive. And everybody will be gunning for that. Hopefully, number two strike like the one you had against Argentina, possibly against Norway on the opening game. I'm going to
Oh,
manifest
imagine
that
it.
for you.
Please, I'll do that too.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.